The last resort. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Alliance had never felt so suffocating. Representatives of 116 spacefaring civilizations sat in stunned silence as the holographic display showed another Alliance world falling to the Void Harvesters. Ambassador Nixra of the Centauri Collective watched with mounting dread as the blue-green planet of Kelios 9, home to over 12 billion sentients, was systematically disassembled by the swarm of obsidian machines. That makes 23 worlds in the last standard cycle. First speaker Tholmar announced, his voice hollow. The ancient Vrexy's compound eyes reflected the horrific images. Our combined fleets have managed to destroy only 3 harvester nodes, while losing 42 capital ships. Ambassador Gurna of the Brukai Federation slammed a massive fist on the polished table. This is madness. We deploy more ships. They build more nodes. We develop new weapons. They adapt within hours. It's as if they're anticipating our every move. The harvesters aren't sentient in any conventional sense, explained Science Director Elzin, her translucent tentacles rippling with stress patterns. They're a self-replicating system designed for optimal resource extraction. Each encounter with our forces provides them with new data to improve their efficiency. Nixra had heard enough. 23 worlds. Trillions of lives. Countless species facing extinction. She rose from her seat, causing several nearby ambassadors to startle at the abrupt movement. There is one option we haven't considered, she said, her voice cutting through the murmurs of despair. First speaker Tholmar tilted his head. The floor recognizes Ambassador Nixra of the Centauri Collective. We contact the humans. The chamber erupted in protests. Ambassador Gurna's translator struggled to keep up with his rapid-fire objections. The Death Worlders. Are you insane? There's a reason we quarantined their system 2 centuries ago. Precisely, Nixra countered, her silver eyes sweeping across the chamber. We feared them because they are unlike any species we've encountered. In 300 cycles of galactic exploration, have any of you seen a species go from primitive combustion engines to rudimentary space travel in less than a single lifetime? Their unpredictability makes them dangerous, objected Ambassador Lorith of the Felon Consortium. They developed nuclear weapons before achieving global unity. They created artificial intelligence before establishing ethical frameworks. They're barbarians, and the Void Harvesters care nothing for our ethics or unity, Nixra replied. We've tried conventional warfare. We've tried diplomatic contact. We've tried technological countermeasures. Nothing works. Perhaps it's time for something unconventional. Science Director Elzin's skin shifted to a thoughtful blue. The humans do possess certain, unique evolutionary traits. Their homeworld is classified as a death world for good reason. Extreme atmospheric pressure, high gravity, deadly radiation levels, thousands of venomous organisms, and extreme temperature variations. They call it Earth, Nixra said softly. And they not only survived it, they thrived. First speaker Tholmar raised a limb for silence. Ambassador Nixra, you understand what you're proposing. The quarantine was implemented unanimously. The humans have developed in isolation, unaware of our existence. Contact now would violate our most sacred protocols. With respect, first speaker, what good are protocols if there's no one left to follow them? Nixra gestured to the holographic display where Kelios 9 was now nothing more than a debris field. The Void Harvesters will reach the core systems within 2 cycles. We need something the Harvesters haven't encountered before. We need humans. After 3 days of heated debate, the Alliance Council made the most desperate decision in its 12,000-year history. A diplomatic mission would be sent to Sol System, led by Ambassador Nixra herself. As the mission's sleek vessel approached the quarantine beacons at the edge of human space, Nixra felt a mixture of hope and dread. Had she doomed her species by advocating for this, or had she found their salvation? Ambassador, her aide Zelith called, we're detecting multiple craft approaching from the direction of the 4th planet. They've bypassed our stealth measures. Nixra blinked in surprise. The quarantine satellites should have prevented any detection of their arrival. Open communications. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a human face. Female, Nixra guessed, based on the limited xenobiology reports in their database. This is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. Identify yourselves and state your purpose for entering restricted space. Nixra stepped forward. I am Ambassador Nixra of the Galactic Alliance. We come seeking assistance from humanity in a matter of utmost urgency. The humans' expression remained neutral. The Galactic Alliance, the same organization that placed warning beacons around our system and has been monitoring us for the past 2 centuries. Nixra felt her inner membranes contract with shock. You know about us. A slight curve appeared at the edge of the human's mouth. Ambassador, those beacons have been broadcasting the same message in over 2,000 languages since before I was born. Dangerous species. Do not approach. Quarantine, in effect. Did you really think we wouldn't notice or decipher them? We believed the technological barrier would be sufficient, Nixra admitted. We cracked your encryption 70 years ago, Commander Chen said matter-of-factly. We've been listening to your communications ever since, including your recent discussions about the Void Harvester threat. Nixra exchanged stunned glances with her team. Then you know why we've come. We do, which is why you're being escorted to Olympus Base on Mars rather than being turned away. The human's expression softened slightly. We've been preparing for first contact for decades, Ambassador. Though I admit, we expected it under different circumstances. The Alliance vessel was guided to a massive complex built into the side of an enormous mountain on the Red Planet. As Nixra and her delegation disembarked, they were greeted by a small group of humans in formal attire. Ambassador Nixra, a tall, dark-skinned human, stepped forward. I'm Director Marcus Williams of the United Earth Diplomatic Corps. Welcome to Mars. The meeting chamber was surprisingly comfortable, adjusted to match Centauri atmospheric preferences. Director Williams was joined by several other humans introduced as military leaders, scientists, and government officials. Let me be direct. Williams began once they were seated. We know about the Void Harvesters. We know they've destroyed 23 Alliance worlds. And we know you've come to ask for our help after maintaining a quarantine around our system for 200 years. Yes, Nixra acknowledged. I understand this must seem hypocritical. It seems practical, interrupted a white-haired human introduced as General Diana Kozlov. You're facing extinction. Pride has no place when survival is at stake. The question, Williams continued, is why you believe we can help when the combined forces of over 100 advanced civilizations cannot. Nixra activated a small projector, displaying the evolutionary history of humanity as compiled by Alliance xenobiologists. Your species evolved on a Class 13 death world. You developed in an environment of constant threats, predators, natural disasters, disease, and warfare. Most species in the Alliance evolved on worlds classified between Class 2 and Class 8. None have your adaptive capabilities. You're hoping our barbarism might be useful, remarked a woman introduced as Dr. Layla Patel, her tone tinged with irony. I'm hoping your unique perspective might see something we've missed, Nixra corrected. The Alliance has followed the same technological development path for millennia. The Void Harvesters have adapted to our conventional approaches. We need something unexpected. Williams exchanged glances with his colleagues before turning back to Nixra. Show us everything you have on these harvesters. For the next several hours, Nixra's team shared all Alliance data on the Void Harvesters, their composition, behavior patterns, attack strategies, and the failed countermeasures. The humans asked questions that sometimes seemed bizarre, focusing on details the Alliance had deemed irrelevant. They were particularly interested in the Harvesters' communication methods and resource processing systems. As the presentation concluded, Williams leaned back in his chair. We'll need time to analyze this data properly, but I believe we can help. Just like that, Zelith blurted out. No demands, no conditions. General Kozlov's expression hardened. The harvesters are 8 months from reaching Proxima Centauri, our nearest stellar neighbor. 6 years from Earth. Do you think we need additional motivation? What my colleague means, Williams said diplomatically, is that while we have questions about the quarantine, they can wait. If these harvesters consume worlds as efficiently as your data suggests, they represent an existential threat to humanity as well. We'll establish a joint task force immediately, added Dr. Patel. Our scientists, your scientists. Our military strategists, your tactical experts. Nixra felt a wave of relief wash over her. Thank you. The Alliance will ensure humanity's contribution is recognized. We're not doing this for recognition, Ambassador, Commander Chen interrupted. We're doing this because it's what humans do. We fight. We survive. And when necessary, we protect others, even those who might have once feared us. As Nixra was escorted to temporary quarters, she wondered if she had just saved the Alliance, or introduced it to an equally unpredictable force. Either way, the galaxy was about to witness what happened when the most dangerous species in known space was unleashed against an unstoppable enemy. The Deathworlders' solution. The Joint Human Alliance Command Center established in Mars Olympus Base hummed with activity. 3 weeks had passed since first contact, and Nixra was still adjusting to the frenetic pace of human decision-making. Where Alliance species might deliberate for months, humans moved with unsettling speed. They're wasting resources, Zeleth muttered as they watched humans constructing prototype weapons based on designs rejected by Alliance engineers years ago. These particle beam configurations were proven ineffective against harvester shields. Dr. Patel overheard as she passed by. Yes, they were ineffective at Alliance power levels and emission frequencies. We're trying something different. She handed Nixra a datapad. We're modulating the beams to match Earth's natural radiation spectrum. The harvesters have never encountered our planet's specific electromagnetic signature. That's creative, Nixra admitted, but the power requirements would be enormous. Which is why we're not using conventional power sources. Dr. Patel led them to another section of the facility, where engineers were retrofitting Alliance ships with what appeared to be primitive fission reactors. These are based on nuclear technology that's centuries behind your fusion systems, but they produce waste radiation in spectrums the harvesters haven't adapted to. Sometimes older technology has unexpected advantages. Across the facility, General Kozlov was leading a tactical briefing with Alliance military commanders. The holographic display showed harvester formations from previous engagements. Your fleets attack in organized patterns, Kozlov was explaining. Logical, efficient, predictable. The harvesters have compiled enough data to anticipate every standard maneuver in your tactical database. Coalition military doctrine has been refined over thousands of years, protested Admiral Ktor of the Felon Fleet. It represents the most efficient approach to space combat. Exactly, Kozlov replied. And that efficiency is killing you. The harvesters are machines designed to counter patterns. We need to be unpredictable, even inefficient at times. Nixra watched as human tactical officers demonstrated combat maneuvers that made her inner membranes constrict with anxiety. Ships diving into gravity wells to gain momentum. Deliberate collisions to alter enemy formations, using damaged vessels as makeshift weapons. It was chaos by Alliance standards. No harvester algorithm could predict these approaches because they don't follow logical optimization patterns, Kozlov concluded. They follow human intuition. In another section, Director Williams was coordinating with Alliance diplomats on the logistics of bringing human forces to the front lines. The plan was ambitious, too ambitious, many Alliance representatives thought. You're proposing to deploy 30,000 ships. Ambassador Gurna asked incredulously. Your entire fleet consists of a few hundred vessels at most. Williams smiled. Our military fleet, yes. But we're not just deploying military vessels. Mining ships, research vessels, even civilian transports are being retrofitted. Every ship with an engine is being prepared. Civilian vessels against void harvesters. Lorith scoffed. They'll be destroyed instantly. Some will, Williams acknowledged with a frankness that shocked the Alliance diplomats. But humans have a long history of converting civilian infrastructure for warfare when necessary. Our commercial ships are already built to withstand the harshest conditions in our system, conditions that would crush most Alliance vessels. Your people would volunteer for such dangerous missions? Nixra asked. Williams glanced at a nearby screen showing thousands of humans lining up at recruitment centers across Earth. We put out the call yesterday. We have more volunteers than ships. 5 weeks later, a joint human alliance fleet assembled at the edge of the Proxima Centauri system. 3,000 alliance vessels, all that remained of their once mighty armadas, were joined by 28,000 ships of human design. Many were crewed by alliance standards, hastily retrofitted with weapons and shielding. All were piloted by volunteers. On the bridge of the flagship Intrepid, Commander Chen stood beside Nixra as they watched the Harvester swarm approaching. The alien machines moved with their characteristic precision, over 5,000 nodes in perfect formation. They're already adapting to our presence, reported Science Director Elzin. Harvester configurations are shifting to counter our fleet composition. Let them adapt, Chen replied with a strange smile. Admiral Exor, initiate Protocol Echo. Suddenly, 3,000 human ships broke formation, scattering in seemingly random directions. Alliance officers watched in horror as carefully planned fleet cohesion dissolved into chaos. What are they doing? Zelith gasped. Creating noise. Nixra realized, understanding dawning. The Harvesters can't predict what they can't understand. As the human vessels executed their erratic maneuvers, the Harvester swarm's formation began to fragment, nodes shifting to track multiple targets moving in conflicting patterns. Phase 2. Chen ordered. Deploy the Trojan units. 500 human mining vessels accelerated directly toward the Harvester swarm. Alliance tactical officers watched in disbelief as the ships made no attempt to evade enemy fire. They're being destroyed, Admiral Exor exclaimed as Harvester energy beams tore through the human vessels. Yes, Chen acknowledged calmly. But watch what happens next. As each mining ship was hit, it didn't simply explode. Instead, it fragmented into dozens of smaller craft, emergency escape pods, each retrofitted with a miniature version of the modified nuclear reactors. The pods hurtled through gaps in Harvester defenses, attaching to the larger nodes. Nuclear detonation detected, reported an Alliance sensor officer, then another, and another. Soon the entire Harvester front line was erupting with explosions not of conventional force, but of radiation spikes that scrambled the Harvester's sensitive communication arrays. The Harvesters operate as a networked intelligence, Dr. Paddle explained as she monitored the results. Cut off their ability to communicate, and individual nodes fall back on simplified protocols. As the Harvester formation dissolved into disarray, the remaining human ships executed another unexpected maneuver. Rather than attacking from a distance, they closed to point-blank range, inside the effective radius of Harvester energy weapons. Alliance vessels, target the node processing centers, Commander Chen ordered. Our ships have temporarily blinded them. Strike now. The combined fleet launched a devastating assault on the confused Harvester swarm. Human vessels deployed their jury-rigged weapons at suicidally close ranges, while Alliance ships used their superior targeting systems to destroy critical Harvester components. 2 hours later, it was over. The Harvester swarm had been reduced to drifting debris. Nearly 40% of the human fleet had been destroyed, along with 12% of Alliance vessels, a casualty rate that would have been unacceptable by Alliance standards, but one the humans had factored into their planning. As damage reports flowed in, Director Williams joined Nixra on the observation deck. This was only the vanguard, he noted. The main Harvester force is still months away. But we've proven they can be defeated, Nixra replied. Your approach was unlike anything I could have imagined. Williams smiled. That was the point. The Alliance has spent millennia pursuing optimization and efficiency. You've created wonderful technologies, peaceful societies, and remarkable stability. But you've lost something in the process. And what is that? Chaos, unpredictability. The willingness to try illogical approaches simply because the logical ones have failed. These aren't flaws in humanity, Ambassador. They're adaptations to surviving on a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. 6 months later, as the main Harvester force entered Alliance space, they encountered not just the remaining Alliance fleet, but over 100,000 human vessels. Every spacecraft Earth could muster, crewed by volunteers from every nation. The battle lasted 12 days. Thousands of human ships were lost. Entire tactics had to be abandoned mid-fight as the Harvesters adapted. But each time, human commanders developed new approaches, new angles of attack, new ways to confuse the machine intelligence. On the 13th day, the last Harvester node was destroyed by a coalition of human mining ships using modified drilling equipment to tear through its processing core. 1 year after first contact, the quarantine beacons around Sol system were ceremonially deactivated. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Alliance, now relocated to a new station after the destruction of the previous headquarters, First Speaker Tholmar formally welcomed humanity as the Alliance's newest member. In our darkest hour, he proclaimed, when faced with extinction, we turned to the one species everyone feared. And they reminded us of a truth we had forgotten in our long peace, that adaptation requires challenge, that innovation often emerges from desperation, and that sometimes the most dangerous path is the only one that leads to survival. Ambassador Nixra watched as Commander Chen, now Admiral Chen, accepted humanity's credentials. Around the chamber, representatives of species who had once voted unanimously to quarantine these dangerous primates now stood in respect. They had feared humanity's unpredictability, their capacity for violence, their reckless innovation. Now those very traits had saved them all. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps, Nixra reflected, that was exactly what it needed.